You and appreciate your time. The first thing I wanted to know is just give us a little bit information about your teaching background and your experience that you may have with ELL students.
Um, I was a teacher back in my country. I come from Nigeria, West Africa, and of course, when I came to the state, I had to go back to school, to get it certified. So I've been teaching altogether now for 14 years,
Okay.
and I have, of course, every year I always have some ELL students in my classroom, and this year I actually have 10 of them.
10,
10
one
out of
class,
24.
so yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
Mhm.
Now, do you have any type of training or any type of PDs or any?
Yes, I have been to a few. I've taken a few PDs, on how to understand and work with ELL students from different countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this class, like I've been telling you, is all about assessment and how we could help our ELL students. So many times, it seems that the only type of assessments we really focus on are the paper and pencil type of assessments, where through this class, I'm learning that it's not always about the pen and pencil, the authentic assessments, things that they can do in the classroom, the formative assessments. Those types are really beneficial to them because it's not just about, multiple choice. They know their knowledge, but sometimes it's hard for them to understand the actual test itself. So as far as assessments throughout the year, the interim measurements, what type of assessments do you all use at your grade level to measure their success throughout the year and their growth?
Okay, beginning of the school year, we give the STAR assessment in math and reading,
Okay.
and that's what we actually use to put them in groups, beginning of the school year for us to understand where they are coming in.
Right.
And then there's the MAP assessment, which is also reading and math that we give at the beginning of the school year. And of course, throughout the school year for journeys, we give the journeys assessment that comes with the lessons, weekly lessons, and then vision also, and vision for math, and we give those topic assessment throughout the school
Assessments.
year.
And then when you've collected your data and when you're analyzing it in your PLCs, how do you determine what standards you're going to maybe either reteach or focus on once you get the results?
We look at the standards that we know they did not do well on. So if, especially if so many students did not get that standard, they did not do well on it, then we reteach or we put them in wing group with what I need. And we have 3 teachers on my grade level. So each teacher pick one of the standard and we teach it every 2 weeks and we switch.
Right, so you reteach. And that's what we do in 3rd grade as well. Based on the standards that they don't meet, then we group them up according to what they need. So as far as the instruction, the data and such, I've been observing the student in your classroom, and I'm wondering, what is the hardest part in general for grading ELL students, do you think?
Okay, like this school year, I think JCPS came up with this grading scale where even though they are not performing on grade level,
Right.
as long as they are trying, we have to give them a satisfactory.
Right.
So, and the students you've been observing, even though he's under
Right.
Grade level, I still have to give him satisfactory.
Right. Satisfactory.
Because, as S.
Yeah. And then also, as she's talking about the grading, we have to give them satisfactory, but in the comments we do have to say that they're observing, or not observing, but they're developing or progressing,
Yes.
unless they've actually really earned that
Earned
S,
that.
and then we don't have to say any comments.
Yes.
And as far as accommodations or any type of modifications that your student gets that I've observed in the classroom, what type of accommodations or modifications does he get?
Well, small group, of course. Yes, small group, and sometimes he just works with me, just me and him, one-on-one. And of course, the wing, which is the intervention,
Right.
you know, based on what he needs, you know, what he's not getting in math or reading.
Right. And then as far as, does he get a pull out for ESL, you said?
Yes, he
Yes,
does.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And does Mr. Sapienza, does he get the reader when you do your assessments?
Does he get to?
Does he get like in a reader, any type of accommodations for testing?
Yes, he does. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
All right, and extra time, do you allow
Extra
him
time.
extra time if he needs?
Well, I guess it depends on how long it takes him. He needs
Right.
to take the assessment depending on what type of assessment he's taking.
And how does he seem, do you see any difference in the data when, I know not always, a reader's not always available, but do you see any difference in the data when he is getting a reader for the accommodations?
And when it's not, oh yes,
Yes,
there's a
okay.
big difference when he gets accommodation and when, you know, sometimes I just want him to
Okay.
try to see where he is, what, you know, what he can do by himself.
Right, exactly. All right, and so then, as far as collaboration, when he's working with partners or even with a group, how does he seem to do socially?
Oh, he's good. Behavior-wise, he's very good.
Right,
Yeah.
and
He's
I mean, as far
socialized
as
and he gets along with the other students, you know, so.
is he engaged though in the actual
Engaged.
academic conversation?
He does, a little bit, you know, because of language barrier sometimes, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And so what I've mentioned to you before is
Mhm.
that alternate assessments or a type of authentic assessment, something besides that paper and pencil. You know, we talk about it here all the time at Indian Trail, that formative assessments are very beneficial for students. Just want to know, how are you assessing your kids formatively throughout the day, since it's something that's an ongoing process?
Yeah, where I use a note, you know, just take note, watch them, just observation sometimes. And sometimes I do a smiley face, like if they get it sometimes. Sometimes, you know, just thumbs up if you get it, or down if you know.
Right.
Sometimes I say, you know, okay, I kind of get it, I get it, or I am lost.
Right.
So
okay.
I do those, especially for quick assessment.
Right.
Yeah.
And also some other things that you may want to consider are actually our graphic organizers are a really great way to formatively assess. You know, it's not like so stressful. It seems
Yeah.
like they're in a testing environment. Just, you know, when they're collaborating, just walking around, maybe taking some notes, like you said, observations. So yeah, those are things, you know, to consider as well.
And with the graphic organizer, I use that a lot for writing, because with this grade level writing is like pulling tooth sometimes.
Right.
But with the graphic organizer, that kind of help them to organize their thoughts and, you know, get them to write a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
And then speaking about writing, that is one of the struggles for ELLs the most.
Yeah.
You know, not only do they have like this language barrier, and you know the English language is very complicated, so it seems that if you can organize it in a way, or just to make sure your expectations are clear, it's very helpful, which leads me into my next question is, you know, we talked about rubrics and checklists, and those seem to help guide, well, all students, but especially for ELLs, because it's so, you know, exact and the expectations are clear, and they're basically set to standards, so it's, you know, cut and dry for them, and, you know, very structured. Do you use your rubrics at all this year, or any type of checklist that, you know, the students can even self-assess themselves, like with a rubric or checklist?
Yes, I do. And sometimes I just use the smiley faces, especially with the ESL student, where, you know, a smiley face, that means, you know,
Right,
they're good,
right.
or straight face, you know, or just the sad face, like I didn't do good at all, you know.
Right, okay.
So,
And then as far as feedback, feedback is another thing that's really great for, well, all students, but ELL especially, you know, they need to know and monitor their own growth, you know, what they're doing that they can work on. So feedback is important. And so many times, you know, growing up, you know, I was like, oh, super, great job, or, you know, but really like telling them, you know, you did a good job with rounding, but, you know, remember, you know, that you have to look at the tens place to round to the 100. So like very specific feedback is very helpful for them. And also, I know I mentioned Excuse me, my throat's kind of scratchy. I know I mentioned that portfolios are important as well to you, to collect data on the students, to kind of help them kind of create multiple measures of their data, you know, just different pieces. Do you do any type of portfolio with them?
Yeah, writing portfolio, you know, at this grade level, that's what we do most of the time. So that's the only portfolio we do, and we have, of course, personal narratives. I think there are 7 pieces
Right.
that we have to have by the end of the school year. So, so that's the only portfolio,
Right.
just writing portfolio.
Yeah,
that
that's
we
the
do.
only thing that we require at our school, but since I've been taking this class, they talk about a portfolio that you can put together of just some of their different pieces of work, and also if they can pick some of the pieces that they really like or they did well on. Some of what is helpful to ELLs is just giving them some choice, which kind of goes back to when I talked to you about having them do some sort of project-based learning, where they can create something and it's more hands-on, maybe real-life approach. I know we talked about at our school doing for our student growth goal for the year, we're talking about more of a project-based learning where they may create like a diorama, a play or poster or something that they have hands-on doing to basically show their knowledge for whatever they're learning, and just kind of using it in this project instead of just, you know, once again, just doing the paper and the pencil, which seems nowadays we're kind of teaching to test it a lot of times, and you know, it's like we're taking away the creativity that some of these kiddos need to express to us to show us that they understand. But yeah, definitely I'll keep checking in with you on your student, and be happy to help you with any other suggestions that I can give to you, or just get with you, you know, throughout the year to help you with any type of assessments that I can help you with for your ELLs. But I appreciate your time.